Hi, folks. Welcome to part two of my recent book haul. And this is going to be nearly all science fiction and fantasy. Um, so it's promising to be a long one. So let's start off with a freebie. I was sent this book, Hayden of Ancient Opar by Philip Jose Farmer. As you can see, a Door Yellow Spine, number 100 in the series. And this was kindly sent to me by Mr. Kenny House. Everybody will know Kenny. He's the one with the Door Yellow Spine obsession. I think he's got, of the 580 that were done in this series, I think he has in the region of 75%, I think he said. He knows I collect them too, but I am nowhere near Kenny in the number. I think I've got between 160, 170 now of the series. Always looking for more. This is in nice condition. Even the spines retain some of its yellowness, which they often tend to fade. So yeah, this is a novel by Philip Jose Farmer based on the ancient Atlantean colony in the heart of Tarzan's Africa, Opar. So this was a city created by Edgar Rice Burroughs in his Tarzan novels, and Farmer got permission from the Burroughs family to use the setting. This was from 1974, has cover art by Roy Krinkle. Not particularly great cover art, but thank you, Kenny. I was really pleased to get that and add that to my collection, especially as it's in the first 100 as well. I did make a purchase off eBay. When I saw these three, I couldn't resist. You know, I mentioned that I love my SF anthologies, and this was one I hadn't known about. And this is the Chrysalis series, edited by Roy Torgerson. This is number 3 in really nice condition, with stories by Robert Bloch, Michael Bishop, R.A. Lafferty, and more. This is from Zebra Books, and it's from 1978. Also got number 4 with Orson Scott Card, Chelsea Quinn Yarbrough, Spider Robinson, and others. This is from 1979. And number 5 with Scott Card again, Barry Malzberg, Charles L. Grant, and a load of writers I don't know. And this again was from 79 from Zebra Books. So I was really pleased to find those. I don't know how many were done in the series, but I'm going to be keeping an eye out to see if I can find some more. You know, I'm a completist. I've mentioned that I'm a member of a book subscription service which is called Gently Used Books, and they send me 4 vintage science fiction books every month. The latest batch came in May, due I think hopefully maybe this week to get the June ones. First up, an author I'm not aware of. This is Vincent King with Another End, printed by Five Star Books. For the riders who rode the probes to the stars, there was all time but no end. This is from 1972. It looks. I thought it was older. Yeah, from 1972. Another author I'm unaware of is Wyman Gwyn with Beyond Bedlam. Again, in decent condition. This is from Sphere again. According to Silverberg, Wyman Gwyn is a compelling voice in science fiction. Original, gifted, powerful. This book is long overdue. Quite like that cover. Don't know who that's by. And this is a book of short stories, originally published under the title Living Way Out. The stories come from Astounding and Galaxy. And this book was originally published in 1967. This is a 1973 reprint. Third of the books was an ace double. I like my ace doubles. Get them whenever I can. And this is The Secret of Xi by Kenneth Bulmer, backed with Beyond the Vanishing Point by Ray Cummings. It's not in brilliant condition. There's a bit of damage at the bottom here and the top, but otherwise it's not too bad. These are from 1958. Like I say, I like my ace doubles. I think this is the first one I've got with a two colour scheme. Usually it's blue and white. This is blue and red with yellow font. Pleased to get that. And the fourth one they included was actually probably wouldn't class as a vintage novel, but I'm quite happy with it. It's The Genesis Quest by Donald Moffat. Not an author I'm au fait with. This is in excellent condition. This was originally published in 1986, but this is a 2003 reprint. It says it's for fans of Larry Niven, Peter Hamilton and Arthur C. Clarke. So, excellent. Looking forward to seeing what they send me this month. Recently it was my birthday, my 66th. I'm now officially an OAP. So a couple of days prior to my birthday, I took myself off to Carlisle and obviously had to visit Bookcase, the large second-hand bookshop in the city. And I came away with about 15 books. Not particularly brilliant set. No really big authors or such. Mainly authors I've never heard of. Mainly books from the 60s. But I'm always happy to add to the collection. First up, we have When They Come From Space by Mark Clifton. Unfortunately, this one's sun-faded. You get the author, but the title of the novel is gone. The spacemen attacked with Earth's own weapons, big bombs, brass hats, and Hollywood press agents. So it's going to be a satirical novel. Quite like that cover. This is from McFadden Books. It's a second printing from 1967. The original printing was from 63. Next up, The Other World by J. Harvey Bond, another author I'm not au fait with, still in decent condition. A World in the Control of a Mechanical Monster. This is from Priory Books, not an imprint I'm aware of, and it's from 1963, produced in Israel for Priory Books, London. So, see what that will be like. A more famous author now, one I have heard of, but I don't have much by, I don't think, is Andre Norton. This is postmarked The Stars. Quite like that cover. It's by Tony Roberts, it says on the back. And this is from Magnet Books. This is the third thrilling space adventure about Dane Thorson and the Solar Queen. So I'll need to get the first two then. Typical. Which were Sargasso of Space and Plague Ship. First published in Great Britain in 1971 by Magnet Books. One of the few by a big name in the SF world, Gordon R. Dixon, and The Pritchard Mass, one of Dixon's best, according to the Minneapolis Tribune. This is from Tor. It's a first Tor printing from February 1983, though the book goes back to 1972. In decent condition. Way back last year, I got a whole bunch of books by Lynn Carter, and here's another one. This is Thongor in the City of Magicians, the last battle to decide the fate of mankind. This is the fourth adventure of Thongor of Lemuria. Don't think I've got any of the first three that were in that batch of books I bought last year. This is from Tandem, from 1970. The other titles in the series were The Wizard of Lemuria, Thongor of Lemuria, and Thongor Against the Gods. We then have one of the small Ace books. This is The Spot of Life by Austin Hall, Two Worlds in One Orbit. Never heard of Austin Hall. According to this, it's a novel of parallel worlds, and is a classic of science fiction suspense. And it was originally published in 1932 as a serial in Argosy Weekly. But I can't see a date from when this particular book was published. Looks like it might be a follow-on to another one called The Blind Spot. And we do have another big name, Elsbrag de Camp, with The Glory That Was, from Paperback Library, the first time in paperback. Again, quite like the cover. The glory that was what? Isolated from the rest of the world by a force wall, 27th century Greece is a mystery which two men are determined to solve. Intriguing. This is a 1952 novel, but this edition is the first printing from March 1971. Another unknown, we have The Memory Bank by Wallace West, a science fiction novel of time and worlds to come. This is published by Airmont Books, again an imprint I'm not au fait with. This edition's from July 1962. I think the novel was a 1951. So it looks like it's a post-apocalyptic novel. Catastrophe had visited Earth and left it completely destroyed, but mankind had already bridged the galactic gap, and on the planets of the Centaurus system, the discovery of the memory bank had brought man to the brink of immortality. Excellent. This next one was a weirdo. I've never heard of this. This is The Crock of Gold by James Stevens. Sorry. There's the man himself. Irish and ever delightful, the nonsense story that has become a timeless classic. I have no clue what it's about. To describe the Crock of Gold's inspired medley of topsy-turvydom is as difficult and profitless as it would be to explain Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland or Edward Lear's nonsense rhymes. You must read this famous book to find out where the crock was and where and why it was buried. A crazy book indeed, but its charms will capture you, and you will agree with the Times that it is an astonishing production. Reading that, I thought, I've got to try this. I've never heard of this novel. Foreword, especially written for the Pan edition by Walter de la Mare. So yeah, it's from Pan, and this is a second printing from 1965. I think I'm going to try this fairly soon. I'm intrigued. A modern novel next. S.M. Stirling, not an author I've read anything by. Dies the Fire, a novel of the change. What happens when the lights go out for good? Sounds from the synopsis on the back a bit in that sort of the Stand vein. It's quite a dense novel, 600 pages. See, I've not got anything by S.M. Stirling in my collection. This is printed by Rock from 2005, so yeah, only 19 years ago. Next, I've got a couple of other books by this author, but I've not read anything yet by him. Emil Pataja or Pataya? Not sure how it's meant to be pronounced. This is The Nets of Space, a dreadful hunt in the galactic wastes, and the prey is man. Like the back. Missing, believed, eaten. Intriguing. This is by 5-Star Paperbacks, and he's from 1972. We have Pel Toros, Beyond the Barrier of Space. Pel Toro, I got a feeling, was the ever prolific Lionel Fanthorpe? Not sure. This is from Starbucks, not the coffee place. And these, there's no date for publication. Starbucks are an Australian imprint by the look of it. There you go. Another ace double. We have Crown of Infinity by John M. Fawcett. Never heard of him. And The Prism, by another novel by Emil Pataya. Was he hero of heroes or a puppet of the Star Watchers? Wonder who did the artwork. These are from 1968, these two novels. That cover is by Jack Gochan. Usually really like his stuff, but that one I'm not sure about. And that cover is by Kelly Freas. Again, I don't think it's one of his best works, but always pleased to get ace doubles. Another one from 5 Star Paperbacks. Oh, an EC Tub one. And not a Doomerest one for once. STAR Flight. The curse of eternal youth threatens to destroy Earth. Nice condition. Short little novel from 1969. That was copyright 1969. This is edition is from 1973. Two novels from an author I've never heard of, from both printed by Lancer Books. This is Peter Heath with The Mind Brothers. The last man alive in Earth's dim future helps foil a deadly espionage plot today. Looks like it's a time travel novel. From 1967. And the second one by Peter Heath, Assassins from Tomorrow. The dark day in Dallas, the president's shocking death led the Mind Brothers on a quest across centuries for fantastic villains. Oh, that could be interesting. All right, the covers on these. This is also from 1967. I've just noticed 01. I wonder if they're obviously numbered, but why would you start with 0? Was that the first book from Lancer? I don't know. If you know, let me know. Because the next book is also from Lancer and is number 2. So 0, 1 and 2. This is from Richard A. Lupoff, who I've heard of, but never read anything by. And it's 1 Million Centuries. I like that cover. An exile in space-time, Parker had to learn where and when he was, but first he had to survive. When is this one from? Again, from 1967. So maybe these are the first 3 Lancer books. I don't know. So those were the ones I bought in Carlisle. This last week, the weekend, I decided to go back to Michael Moon's, and I took with me this bag full of books, hoping to get a bit of store credit and use that to buy more. He offered me £30, which was fine. I can't remember how many books were in there, but this bag was basically, I say, full of books. So I went upstairs, and luckily they'd had a few boxes of science fiction books come in. So I filled this bag up again, took it back down. He took one look, saw that they were all the same price, basically. I think the majority of his second-hand science fiction books, paperbacks, priced at £3. There were a couple at £1.50. So he didn't bother. He just said, let's call it quits. Turns out I came away with over 40 books. So that should have been about £120 at £3 a pop. Knocking off the credit, £90. And I got them for basically me £30 credit. So basically I got 40 books for nought. You can't argue. But also on that day, I paid a visit to one of the charity shops, and they were doing 5 books for £1. They just had quite a lot of books in. Unfortunately, most of them weren't of interest, but I managed to source 5 for the £1. So basically, I've got around 45 books for £1. It was in fact, it cost me £2 on the bus to come back. So the bus fare was more than the cost of the books. That's what I call a successful day. I'll show the charity shop ones first. And first up, an author we've just seen in the other video I've done, Dan Simmons with Endymion. This is the 3rd of the Hyperion Cantos books. I've got the first 2, I haven't got this. I have read the first one years ago and thought it was excellent. It is highly rated by a lot of people. I'm looking forward to rereading that and eventually getting around to this. It's unusual to find any science fiction books in charity shops around here, generally, but managed to find a second one. Charles Stross with Wireless, the Essential Collections. This is a collection of short stories by Stross. This is from Orbit Books from 2009. I've got a couple of books by Stross, but I've not yet read anything by him. Maybe this will be a good place to start. I don't know, but was pleased to find that. The Singularity Sky is one I have got. The next three to make up the five were not science fiction or horror. First couple were crime. This is Detective McCleavy's Casebook by James McCleavy, Edinburgh's real Sherlock Holmes. James McCleavy fought the corruption and debauchery of Victorian Edinburgh, one of the city's first detectives. His work is said to have inspired Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes. McCleavy's quirky humour and profound humanity bring his criminal adversaries to life. His cunning mind and critical eye help him keep close on the heels of his targets and often one step ahead. Intriguing, sounds good. It's in brilliant condition, doesn't look like it's been read. And I picked up a book by Edward Marston in his series, Railway Detective series. This is Railway to the Grave. I've read about 3 or 4 of the Railway Detective novels. They're just good fun. They're light, nothing heavy. Classic British detective novels. So I was pleased to get that. And I was to make up the 5th, I had to go back deep into my childhood and pick up Just William by Richmal Crompton. I loved these books when I was a kid, really did. Not read them since, but William was a incredibly naughty boy. William training rats and kidnapping babies, running a circus and managing a sweet shop, wrecking a wedding and falling in love. Here comes the incorrigible William, to the horror of his family and the delight of his fans. In this, the first of all William's books. Like I say, they were so funny. They were excellent. So I'm looking forward to revisiting my youth. So let's get back to Michael Moons and what I managed to get in the science fiction vein. And the first one was this massive tome, the year's best science fiction, 24th annual collection, edited by Gardner. Don't know how to pronounce his name. Dozois. Somebody let me know. Published by St. Martin's Griffin. This is stories from 2006, I think. Yeah. So it's the best of 2006. There are so many of these year's best ofs. I get confused as to which are which. I don't think I've got any in this series. But who have we got here? We got Cory Doctorow, Robert Charles Wilson, Michael Swanwick, Ian MacDonald, Alistair Reynolds, Paul Macaulay, Greg Egan, Ken MacLeod, Stephen Baxter. So, should be good. And another, said there was quite a number of these series. This is the best science fiction and fantasy 2014, edited by Rich Horton. And as you can see, who appears on this one: Ken Liu, Ian MacLeod, Jeff Ryman, Harry Turtledove, Peter Watts, and more. This is by Prime Books. It's the 2014 edition. First up, we have Robert Silverberg, Up the Line. time tourist extraordinaire. So it's obviously, a time travel novel. Going to the back, one of the best time travel novels ever written. Well, Silverberg's an excellent writer. This is a 1978 reprint. Edmund Cooper, The Rings of Tantalus. This looks like it's part of a series. The Rings of Tantalus was first published as Book 2 of Richard Avery's The Expendables. So they were written under a pseudonym. Commander James Conrad and his team of Expendables face the unknown dangers of an alien world in their mission to find planets suitable for colonization. So, sounds like a very early novel. No, it's 75. This edition's 1979. We have Philip Jose Farmer next with Day World. These were all in fairly decent condition as well, which was pleased. Most people only know one day of the week. For most people in the 35th century AD, the seasons flash by. 6 out of every 7 days are spent in suspended animation. The government is a benevolent but watchful dictatorship. One crime they keep a lookout for is day breaking, disobeying the law that says you come alive only 1 day a week. Intriguing premise. Again, what an author I've not ever read anything of, except maybe a short story here and there in an anthology. This is from 1986 by Grafton. Sticking with Farmer, we have The Stone God Awakens from Panther. Has a bit of a bend on it. It'll need to be flattened out. Millions of years after man's extinction, one man survives. Ulysses Singing Bear was a scientist back in 1985, but an experiment with macromolecules backfired and he became petrified. Millions of years later, he awakens, but the world has changed drastically. When's this from? This is from 1976. Guess what? Another Philip Jose Farmer. And this is Traitor to the Living. Again from Panther Books, first British publication. Nice cover by Peter Jones. From 1975. Looks like it's a novel about a machine that can let you speak to the dead. We go back to Edmund Cooper with Who Needs Men? Okay, condition. Bit faded. Obviously, from the title, you can tell it's a novel of the 25th century where men have become biologically less important, where women could reproduce as they wished by cloning and parthenogenesis. Racy with some nice touches typical of Mr. Cooper, according to the Evening Standard. This is from 1974. And we have yet another Edmund Cooper. Whoever brought these into the bookshop was obviously a big Cooper and Farmer fan. And this is Prisoner of Fire, unsettling and horrifyingly believable. Vanessa Smith looked like any normal 17-year-old girl, but Vanessa wasn't normal at all. She possessed extraordinary telepathic powers, and in the 1990s, telepathy was the ultimate weapon in psychological warfare. Must admit the synopsis of his novels sound quite good. 74 novel, this is a 77 edition. Next up, no, not Farmer, not Cooper, but an author I've never heard of, Philip Bedford Robinson, with Mask of a Savage Mandarin, from Panther Books. Bizarre, weird, scathingly satiric, and terrifyingly convincing. Mask of a Savage Mandarin is a modern masterpiece of offbeat science fiction. Sounds interesting. From 69 originally. This is a 74 edition. I like this. Note for the busy reader. There is only one description of sexual intercourse in this book. It is not on pages 54, 134 or 179. There are no scenes of crude violence. The only decapitation is performed in a decent and gentlemanly way by mutual agreement. This could be fun. If you've read it, let me know. And we're back to Farmer with Dare. This is this was confusing because it's a quartet book, according to the back and according to the inside, but it's Orbit. I know I'm showing my ignorance, but I take it Orbit were an imprint of Quartet. Again, if you know, let me know. This is a 65 novel by Farmer, and this is a 77 reprint. Famous trilogy, which I've never read and I've never owned, but I've now got the third in the series, is Green Mars, part of Kim Stanley Robinson's trilogy about the colonization of Mars. I think Red Mars and Blue Mars came before Green Mars. Often see them, but they're never in the condition that I want to pick them up. But this one was excellent. No creasing on the spine. Bit of a curvature, but what you expect in a book this size. Best novel of the colonization of Mars that has ever been written, according to Arthur C. Clarke. This is from 1994. If you've read the trilogy, let me know, is it worth reading? I take it is, because it's so famous. John Jakes is up next with The Mark of the Demons, the third adventure of Brak the Barbarian. This is obviously in Sword and Sorcery in the Conan the Barbarian vein. Quite like the cover. It's from Tandem. Originally from 1969. This is a a 76 edition. I have to find the first two. Farmer again, and this is Blown, an exorcism ritual 2. I take it this is a second in hide the boobies. This is fantasy according to the back, again from Quartet. It's the incredible sequel to The Image of the Beast. Harold Child continues what started as a murder case, a very gruesome one, but which has now become a struggle against the strange and deadly beings who have taken his wife, who threaten his manhood and threaten mankind itself. There is Vivian, amazingly beautiful, who used to be Joan of Arc, but she has false teeth and she comes literally to pieces. Her lover is a snake-like horror whose needle teeth drip aphrodisiac venom. There is Count Igescu, a real live vampire. And these three are surrounded by a grisly crowd of bizarre aliens, characters in a science fiction nightmare. That's intriguing. This is from, again, originally in 69. This is a 75 printing. And another Cooper, 5 to 12. Which is, again, from Coronet. It's a second impression from 1974. It's another one where women dominate society and men have been reduced to the status of manipulated objects. Seems a favourite topic of Edmund Cooper's. J.G. Ballard's The Drought, one of his series of sort of natural disasters type novels, like Drowned World, which I read and wasn't that keen on. Started off pretty well. Description of the world was good. But upon the introduction of the pirates halfway through and the depiction of the pirates wasn't altogether that great, I'm afraid. So I'd probably have given it a 4.5, 5 out of 10 if I was to rate it. So Ballard's, I don't know yet. I need to read more. This is obviously about a world in drought. Water, man's most precious commodity, is a luxury of the past. Radioactive waste from years of industrial dumping has caused the sea to form a protective skin strong enough to devastate the earth it once sustained. It is weird, it is grotesque, it is magnificently gothic. A strange and rather wonderful book full of haunting landscapes, phantasmagoria, and disaster that clings to the mind. So yeah, I will give him another try and see what I think. It's from originally written in 65. This is 78. Told you. Philip Jose Farmer. The book of Philip Jose Farmer. So yeah. Fission fusion chain reaction of short stories by one of the greatest SF authors writing today. From a man stranded on Mars to one who thinks he's in a Neanderthal, from a post-nuclear pilgrim to a polytropical paramyth and the sexual implications of the charge of the Line Brigade. Quite like that cover, which is by Richard Clifton Day. (1983) edition. Oh, we have an exclusive interview with Lord Greystoke in here. The Obscure Life and Hard Times of Kilgore Trout, and The Sexual Implications of the Charge of the Light Brigade. I need to read that. Another one by John Brunner, one I haven't got this time, Not Before Time. This is from New English Library. Oh, it's a collection of short stories, a short collection, from 1968 originally. This edition's May 75. I like Brunner's work. And we're back to Edmund Cooper with The Slaves of Heaven. Again from Coronet. Welcome to heaven, said the voice. The acquisition program is entirely for females, but the occasional enterprising male does not displease us. Again, that female male War of the Sexes thing going on by the sound of it. A 1978 edition. And guess what? Another Cooper. Jupiter Laughs. Coronet again. As Jupiter Laughs, another story. So, yeah. A collection of short story works from 1979. This is 81 edition. What happened on Judgment Day? Do we have Martian ancestors? Will we blow up the world? Not Cooper and not Farmer, thankfully. This is E. Doc Smith, and it's two of his Lord Tedrick novels in one volume, Lord Tedrick and Alien Realms. I think I have Lord Tedrick already, but I haven't the second book. This is from Star Books. From 1978. See tons of E. Doc Smith, but often not in great condition. And we're back to Farmer again. This is Time's Last Gift. Quite like that cover. By Peter Tybus. Never heard of him. 12,000 BC. There were 4 trained scientists, each of them skilled in several disciplines. Because this was an opportunity that would never occur again. There would never be another chance for men from the world of 2070 AD to examine in person the world of 12,000 BC. Yep, so a time travel novel from 1975. Another Robert Silverberg, To Live Again. Paul Kaufman is dead, but his mind lives on, and the mind of a financial genius is in demand. Suspense, irony, and humour. From 77. James Schmitz. I showed a book of his last time and mentioned that he was famous for this series, The Witches of Carys. I take it this is the first in the series. So obviously the cover is by Josh Kirby. And it's a pyrotechnic adventure of witchery and space spoofery. Comes from VGSF. A slam bang space happy fantasy. Sounds like good fun, this. From 1988. Back to John Brunner and the Productions of Time, coming from Penguin Books. And this is from 1967, published in Penguin Books 1970. first book I've ever had by Edgar Pangborn, The Company of Glory. Nice condition. Never read anything by him before. This is from 1975 by Starbucks. Guess what? Another Cooper, The 10th Planet. I'm really going to have to blitz some of these Cooper books, see what he's like. If I don't like the first one, I'm going to have a lot more of books by him on the shelves. I hope I do like him. It says each Cooper novel is a unique experience, one of the most entertaining and philosophically constant writers producing science fiction today. 1976, more Cooper ones. The Last Continent. Earth devastated, the moon totally destroyed. What future now for mankind? The Coronet. All of these books seem to be in Coronet. This is a 1974 second impression. And the final Cooper one, thankfully, Transit. A man without purpose on a voyage of discovery. Another second impression, 1974. As I said, we see a lot of E. Doc Smith, and particularly his classic Lensman series. This is Masters of the Vortex, which is, according to the back, the 7th of the series, final one, according to this. This isn't in nice condition. I really need to try and pick up some good condition copies of the first 6. I don't know what his writing's like. I imagine it's very pulpish, but let me know if you feel differently. From 1972, this edition. A writer I've got a few books by now. That's Brian Stableford. The Days of Glory from 5-Star Books. 5-Star Paperback, sorry. The war was to the death between man and his mirror image. Is from 1973, this edition. I just recently discovered that he's also written quite a number of stories or books in Lovecraft's Cthulhu mythos environment. I'm going to have to try one of those things. I love those sort of stories. Next up, I think I've got one other book by this writer, but I'd have to check. This is Lawrence M. Janifer, with his book A Piece of Martin Kahn. Another one from 5-Star Paperbacks. And he's from 1972, this edition. Must admit, these 5-Star Paperback editions look earlier than the 70s. They look 60s, but there you go. And finally, an author I'm not au fait with again, and I thought this was a horror novel, Dead Things by Richard Calder. Dark, edgy, and inflicted with just the right degree of lyricism. That's by William Gibson. One of the most promising post-cyberpunk talents, a brilliant writer of nano-fash science fiction, whatever nano-fash is. Calder brilliantly evokes a third world seething with strange, out-of-control technologies. Yeah. British writer. This is from 1996. So that's it. I think I did quite well for nothing. Or £2 bus fare. So anyway, been on long enough. I hope you enjoyed that. Hope you liked what you saw. I think I'll try and give it a rest now. Just read instead of buying. Anyway, take care, everybody. I'll hopefully see you soon.